Coral Bleaching by Mara Melter and Kaylee Nugent.
So, coral reefs are hotspots for marine diversity, and including supporting fish, they also support 500 million people worldwide, which makes them important not only in fish but in human lives. But unfortunately, 60% of coral reefs are under threat.
Coral bleaching is a very serious topic. Coral bleaching occurs when the coral loses the algae that produces or that protects it from UV rays, causing it to turn white. Despite the popular belief, coral bleaching does not actually mean the coral is dead. It just means the coral is very vulnerable and more prone to death.
So here is an infographic I got from one of our websites that I think really shows how coral bleaching works. So on the left, we have healthy coral, and you can see the algae, on the coral. So they have a symbiotic relationship, and they keep each other safe. And this one, the coral is stressed, so that could be from changes in ocean temperature, pollution, low tide, sunscreen, and the algae is leaving the coral. And when the algae leaves the coral, that's when it's left in its bleached state.
As stated as before, coral is caused by the coral losing the algae that protects it from UV rays. There are multiple reasons why the coral loses this algae. One reason is that the water is one reason is the water in the coral's habitat is getting warmer, causing the algae to move away. Luckily, this can be stopped. The primary cause of coral bleaching is sunscreen. Most sunscreens have oxybenzone in them, which is very harmful to coral. Even in small amounts, oxybenzone can be extremely dangerous and cause rapid bleeding. Sea anemones also produce oxybenzone into the water.
So climate change affects coral because the warming water stresses it out. It throws the coral and algae out of equilibrium. So the algae is forced to leave the coral and move on.
Pollution, so the plastics means bags get stuck into the coral, causing stuff to happen and later meaning the coral can get infected. This also means the algae is not getting enough sunlight and is dying.
As Mara said earlier, oxybenzone in sunscreen is one of the main contributors of bleaching coral. Even in small amounts, it can bleach coral, which is why it's so dangerous. But the reason it is so dangerous to coral is because when it gets in the water, sea anemones tack on a sugar onto it, which makes it water soluble and therefore susceptible to bleaching coral.
Uh, Coral can actually recover from bleaching, depending on what type of bleaching it is. The coral that is bleached by the rays and stuff, it can be recovered. However, the coral that is bleached by water pollution, plastic, and oxybenzone cannot recover.
Surprisingly, there is a type of coral that has little to no susceptibility to being bleached at all. So, unlike other kinds of coral, blue coral, which is native to Hawaii, has a protein that it creates that makes its own sunscreen. And even if it becomes bleached for other reasons, such as the sun, it's still going to retain its color and it'll still be fine.
And then here are some pictures of reefs.
So, ways to help. This is a list of sunscreens that we found that are good to buy and not to buy. So on the left are sunscreens without oxybenzone, and I tried to have an array. So this one you can find mainly in Australia. You have some big brands like Neutrogena, and these are the ones you don't want to buy because of their oxybenzone content. On the right are ones you should not buy. So we have big brands such like Coppertone, Aveeno, and these are all brands people have heard of.
There are other personal choices for helping the coral. You can be using recyclable bags, buy organic product, and avoid single-use plastic and recycling.
And it's important to advocate. So, banning oxybenzone sunscreen at beaches. I know this has been done at Mexico. Hawaii's either pushing for a ban or has banned it. Um, and then better laws regarding agriculture runoff. So, the runoff from our food production gets into the water, and that can help bleach the coral. So, if you advocate for better laws regarding that, it can help prevent some of that bleaching. And then overall, stricter pollution standards. So if we can, reduce, reuse, recycle, that'll help prevent some of our coral from getting bleached.
And then here's our works cited. A lot longer than just one page.